What is up, you guys? Shannon from Aquariums here. So in this video I'm just going to be showing you guys a few species of fish that get too big. What I mean by that specifically is fish that don't, you go to the shop to buy them, they look small and they look like a fish you can keep in a small tank. But over time, sometimes not a lot of time, they get quite large. So I'm just going to be elaborating a few of the more common species and maybe a few of the not so common ones that you'll see in a lot of aquariums that get way too big and are not ideal for the first time fish keeper with a small to medium sized tank. Okay, so the first species we're going to be talking about are silver sharks. Now, these are really nice fish to have in your tropical tank. I mean, a non-aggressive fish, quite peaceful. They are a schooling fish, so you'll need to get at least 3 or 4 of them. So, saying that, they're quite a good fish, but unless you've got a large tank, they're not ideal long term. I mean, they get up to a foot long, which is quite large. So on top of having a fish that's a foot long, you're going to have 3+ fish that are a foot long because they're a schooling fish. Having these guys on their own is not a good idea. They just get really skittish when they're on their own. They will mellow out as they get bigger, but generally you want them in a school. But yeah, as I said, they do get a foot long. You'll need at least a 300 to 400 litre aquarium minimum for like 2 or 3 of these at full size. So yeah, they're just not ideal. Fish number 2, silver dollars. These are another peaceful fish. They're a vegetarian fish, so you can't keep them with plants. They'll just eat them. But yeah, another fish that's also a schooling fish. These guys are actually out of the same family as piranhas. Just unlike piranhas, they're vegetarians and they're quite peaceful. But yeah, they do get to a reasonable size. I wouldn't say they get huge. I mean, they get about 10 to 15 centimeters fully grown, so still a reasonable size. And again, a schooling fish, so you want to have a few of them. So unless you have at least 200 to 250 litre aquarium, you don't really want to go silver dollars. They just get way too big. But like I said, if you have a tank of that size or bigger, they're a great choice for a community fish. If you want something that schools and something that's peaceful. Another fish that is quite skittish, especially when you get them brand new. They do settle down after a while, but they're quite skittish, especially when they're smaller. Okay, so fish number 3 is the archerfish. Now these are an Australian native fish. These ones specifically aren't your normal archerfish. They're zebra archerfish, so they're a little bit more pricey than your normal ones. I just didn't have any normal archers to show you guys when I got these at the moment. But yeah, they get similar size to the silver sharks. They get about a foot long. They're quite a peaceful native. I mean, they're strictly a surface feeder, so they're not going to prey on your fish really, unless there's something floating on the surface. They're not interested in eating it. And in the wild, these guys naturally eat insects. They'll actually shoot a jet of water out of their mouth and knock insects down into the water off overhanging leaves and branches. So quite entertaining fish if you can get them to do that for you. They'll quite happily eat fish food though. You can wean them onto that. They do better in groups, but they can be quite happy on their own as well. If they've settled into the tank and lived long enough, not that skittish, you can have them on their own. But yes, again, they get quite large, so you'll need at least a 400 litre tank when these guys are fully grown, if not 500 litre tank, because they're quite, on top of being up to a foot long, they're quite a bulky fish. They do eat quite a lot when they're bigger, so they do produce quite a lot of waste as well. Okay, so I know I already mentioned silver dollars, but I just thought I'd mention these guys too, in case any of you guys, thought I was just talking about silver dollars in general. When I say silver dollars, I mean all silver dollars species, not just the standard ones. In this tank I've got striped silver dollars and spotted silver dollars. They get all to about the same size. So when I say silver dollars, I mean all types. These included red hooks as well, and pacu, which I do have a pacu in the shop. I'll show you him, but yeah, he's in that category as well as the other silver dollars. So in this video we got green terrors now. Green terrors are a American cichlid. I'm just going to say American cichlids because honestly most American cichlids do get quite large. They can vary between 15 centimeters and, like for example, Oscars can get up to a foot long. Green severums can get about 20 to 25 centimeters, same as your golden severums. So yeah, I'll just say American cichlids. They all get quite large. They can be quite an aggressive fish too. I'm not saying green terrors specifically are an aggressive fish. I mean, look, some American cichlids are more aggressive than others. I'm not going to go into specifics, but like I know Oscars especially can be a bit aggressive when they get bigger. Same as things like red devils and black belts and convicts are extremely aggressive. So yes, on top of the fact that they get big, some of them, not all of them, some of them can be quite aggressive. So they'll need a tank to themselves, unless they've, been, bought from a small size and they've grown up with the fish they're currently in with. If they haven't grown up with, other fish long term and you've put new fish in, there is always that risk that they're going to be quite aggressive towards them. So that, and the other fish needing space from them if they're potentially aggressive on top of their large size, means you're going to have quite a large tank so everything's happy. So just another thing to think about before going to American cichlids. So while we're on the subject of cichlids, I'm also just going to mention African cichlids. Now they're not quite as a problem as the Americans with the aggression. I mean, yes, they still have some aggression in them being cichlids. All cichlids are territorial. But as you can see here, if you run a high population, you actually have minimal aggression with cichlids. Saying that, they do get big still. Not quite as big as your Americans, but, they can still get 20 centimeters. Some species, like, there's lots of different types of African cichlids, literally hundreds, if not thousands. They all get different sizes, but I mean, the average size for the majority of American cichlids is around the 15 to 20 centimeter mark, which is still a reasonable sized fish. So yeah, that plus having to run a high population, if you want minimal aggression, you're going to be looking at at least a 300 plus litre tank. While we're filming African cichlids, I'll just show you some bigger ones we have so you have a better idea. So we've got some large frontoses in here. Might be hard to tell in the video, but these frontoses are pushing 25 to 30 centimeters. Frontoses aren't an overly aggressive cichlid. Out of all the African cichlids, I find frontoses to be probably the most placid. So they're not much of a problem aggression-wise if they get big, but nevertheless, still a big fish. Okay, now we're going to be going back to natives. These specifically are salmon tail catfish. Salmon tail catfish get huge. They don't stop eating and they grow massive. They're also highly predatory. They have quite a large mouth and they'll eat small fish if they get the opportunity to. These are only small now, but fully grown they can get 2 to 2.5 feet long. They can, get as fat as your arm, if not fatter. They get quite large, so yeah, long term they'll need a 500 to 600 litre aquarium, if not bigger, because yeah, they get over 2 feet long. So they're not the sort of fish for everybody. You really do have to have a large aquarium and large fish to go for these guys long term. Saying that, this doesn't just apply for these. A lot of catfish do get quite large. Just off the top of my head, for example, Tandanus catfish get around the same size. They're another Australian native. And this is one of the fish here I'll show you in this tank. You probably can only see part of him, but clown loaches, you can just see his tail there. Sorry, it's not a better angle, guys. This is literally the only clown loach in the shop right now because we've only just recently moved here, so we're a bit low on some things. But yes, clown loach get quite large too. Clown loach, you really can't see him. Sorry about this, guys. But yes, clown loach get about 20 to 30 centimeters as well, so they're quite a large fish. Clown loach are a community tropical fish, but yeah, non-aggressive, great, actually really good community fish. One of the most popular tropical fish around, I've found. Everyone has clown loaches because they're non-aggressive. They're actually a good solution for snail problems as well. If you have a bit of an outbreak of snails in your tank, clown loaches are a good solution. They love to eat snails. But I mean, they get huge. They are a schooling fish too. He's on his own, that's why he's hiding. if there were other loaches in here, he'd be out swimming around. So if you get clown loaches, you want to get a few of them because they like to school. But unfortunately, they also get large. Loaches can be a little finicky sometimes. Loaches don't have scales like other fish, so they're more prone to infections. They also like a slightly higher temperature than other tropical species. Okay, so in this tank it's kind of just a tank of random fish. A bit chaotic to focus on one fish, but I'll try. For starters, this guy here, this one, all the spots all over him. This is a jungle perch, but I'm just referring to perch in general. Perch get huge. Perch can get 40 to 50 centimeters. They have a huge appetite, they're highly predatory, they'll eat lots of small fish. Another fish in this tank, if I can find him for you guys, one second, there he is this guy, the red-belly pacu. So red-belly pacu literally get as big as me. They get huge, they get over 1 meter long. Pacu get the size of a small dining table. They're actually out of the same family as piranhas, and they actually look almost like a piranha, but they're vegetarian. In the wild they eat fruit and nut. Unlike piranha, they have very sharp serrated teeth. Pacu have very rounded teeth. Actually, pacu's teeth are very similar to our teeth, to our molar teeth, for crushing nuts, so yeah. But they have a huge appetite. They can be a little aggressive too. So they're the sort of fish that most people can't keep, just because they literally get as big as you. They look great when they're like this sort of size, nice and red. The spots, they look just like a red-bellied piranha, but when they get bigger, they just turn grey and silver and black, no colours at all. So on top of the fact that they get huge, they lose, there's the other pacu there, they lose quite a lot of their colour. This one's actually a lot more colourful. So those are the two, actually no, there is one more fish I want to highlight in this tank, if I can get him for you guys. Those guys, oh, they're right at the back, that guy there. The tin foil barb. Try and zoom that a bit. Tin foil barbs. Tin foil barbs get about 40 centimetre mark fully grown, including their tail. They're a great fish though. For large aquariums, they are a schooling fish, so you get a few of them, they do quite well, but I mean they're a non-aggressive fish, but they do get quite large. They have a massive appetite. They eat constantly, therefore they produce waste all the time. They're very messy fish. If you're quite happy to have a fish that gets that big and have a few of them in a school, then by all means go for it. If you have a tank big enough, I've lost him. If you have a tank big enough to accommodate that. There are a few Americans in here as well. I already spoke about those guys, but a few Africans as well. This tank is a bit of a mixed bag at the moment. Don't stress, guys. This is not long term. We have just moved shops, and we don't have anywhere to put these fish. So that's literally the only reason they're all together. I know a lot of you are probably thinking you can't mix this fish with that fish, and Americans shouldn't be with Africans and whatnot. We know. We just don't have a choice right now. Once the shop's up and running properly and we have all of our tanks running, everything will get a proper home. It's just for now, they're all in this large tank because we literally have nowhere else to put all these fish. Okay, last of the fresh waters for the video. And I'm going to be covering two species here, koi and comet goldfish. There's mostly comets here, there's a few koi mixed in this video, like that multicolour, that spotty one just here is a koi. So most people keep these guys outside. I mean, koi and comets, more so the koi. Koi are not really practical for aquariums long term. Eventually they do have to move outside, as koi can get 2 foot plus in length. Some of the bigger koi I've seen at 3 foot. Very hardy fish, they can live outdoors, no problem. Same as the comets, they can go outside in a pond as well. Comets don't get quite as big. I mean, comets get about 1 foot long, but koi can get, you know, up to 2 to 3 feet long. So, if you want to go goldfish and you want to keep them in an aquarium long term, I would honestly forget about comets or koi, and I'd actually go to fantails. You got basic sort of fantails like these ones. And you've got a few fancier species here, like your butterfly Ryukins. And it's a pearl scale there. I don't have any Orandas to show you guys right now. Or like, you know, like there, your black moor. Sorry about the reflection on the glass, can't really do anything about that right now. Oh, there's a Oranda right there. So yeah, got the fancy goldfish don't get too massive, they're fine in smaller aquariums. When I say that, I mean maybe 100 litres minimum, 150 litres, no smaller. But yeah, if you want to go comets you're looking at least 250 to 300 litres when they're fully grown. Koi, unless you've got like an 8x2x2 or bigger sized aquarium, you want to just move them outside. I mean, most people don't have aquariums that big, so koi, just better off in a large pond. So I'm going to feature just a couple of marine fish as well. We don't have too many marine fish in the shop right now, so I can't go through too many with you guys. One of the main ones that does stick out of our marine fish right now that get too big are these guys, the unicorn tangs. Now, unicorn tangs get huge. They get about 2 feet long. The males do get a horn growing on their head when they get a bit bigger as well, hence their name. I mean, look, they're a lovely, you know, community marine fish. They're very not aggressive as far as tangs go, quite easy to keep. Again, as far as tangs go, being tangs are a little delicate. But yes, they do get quite large. So, fully grown, yeah, they're just not practical for aquariums at all, unless you have like an 8 or a 10 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot aquarium. Okay, another marine fish is this guy, the lipstick tang. Very similar to the unicorn tang in temperament and very easy to keep too as far as tangs go. It does get quite large, not as big as a unicorn tang. I mean, they get about 30 centimeters to 35 centimeters. Still a reasonable sized fish. But yeah, the basic care in those guys, very similar to unicorn tang, not too aggressive, quite easy to keep. They get really nice colours on the base of their tail and around their mouth. There's 2 types of unicorn, sorry, not unicorn, there's 2 types of lipstick tangs. This one's just your normal lipstick tang. Then there's also a blonde lipstick tang. Difference is the blonde one, basically the dorsal fin's yellow instead of black. But yeah, they're both quite nice, but just bear in mind, yes, they do get quite large. Okay, now we're moving on to angels. So this is a Majestic Angel. Majestic Angels get about 20 to 25 centimeters fully grown. So a lot of people with smaller marine tanks, they see little Majestic Angels, they look really nice. But yeah, they do get quite large and they'll need at least a 350 litre aquarium when they're fully grown. Other than that, they're quite a skittish angel as well, I've found. Unlike, for example, your emperor angels that'll quite happily come out and display when you walk up to the tank. These guys, even at this size, when you'd think by the time he's this size you should be used to having people coming up to the tank, they're usually not. They just hide. A lot of the time they're very skittish. Sometimes you get them settling in well, but yeah. Statistically, I've found these guys to be quite a skittish fish. But wonderful colours though. So rabbitfish, they're another one that gets to a reasonable size. Fully grown rabbitfish can get up to 30 centimeters. I mean, look, they're a fantastic marine fish. They're actually quite a good fish to have in any reef or marine tank because they're algae eaters, so they'll keep the algae under control in your tank. They're non-aggressive, so they'll get on with virtually any other marine fish. Most fish don't bother them either because they actually have venomous spines. Their dorsal spines specifically are venomous. I have been stung by rabbitfish a few times. Yeah, it's not pleasant, it's actually extremely painful. In case anyone's wondering, if you get stung by a rabbitfish or a foxface, which they're the same family, has the same sort of venom, or even a lionfish or a scorpionfish or any venomous fish really that spikes you, hot water is the treatment. Basically, not scalding hot, but as hot as you can possibly take. You just want to soak your hand in hot water for about 15 to 20 minutes, even half an hour if you feel you need to. You can also mix a couple of tablespoons of Epsom salt into the hot water. The Epsom salt helps just like, you know, it's kind of antibacterial for the wound, I suppose. But if you can't get Epsom salt, hot water on its own is fine. Just soak your hand in it for 20 to 30 minutes. You won't get instant relief. Might take 10 minutes or so before you start feeling any relief from the pain, but it does work. The hot water pretty much neutralizes the venom. But yes, it does take time. It won't fully get rid of the pain, but it'll at least get it to a point where you can stand it, and it's a lot more bearable. And it will eventually wear off over a few hours or so, depending on how bad you've been spiked and how much venom you've got. But yes, back to my original point. Rabbitfish do get up to 30 centimeters, so yeah, another fish that needs at least 300 to 400 litre aquarium when fully grown. Okay, now we're looking at a volatan lionfish here. Lionfish in general are another large marine fish. I mean, not as big as a lot of your tangs get. They're not as long, they're more bulky, just because they have such large fins and spikes, they look bigger. But I mean, fully grown, they can get 25 to 30 centimeters, and they get quite a fat, chunky body. And even though they're not as big as some of the other fish I might have listed, they can actually be more of a problem, even though they're a smaller size in comparison to those fish, because they're predators. Lionfish are a type of cod. A cod are basically predatory fish. They've got a large mouth. They love to eat small fish. So you can't put lionfish with wrasse and clownfish and cardinals and chromis and blennies and stuff like that. Anything small, they will eat. And like the rabbitfish, they have venomous spines, except their venoms are a lot more painful. Same treatment for the hot water like I just went through. But yes, their venom's much worse, much more painful. Different people react differently to venoms too. Sometimes if you get stung bad enough by these guys, you may go into anaphylactic shock. You may have to go to the hospital and seek medical attention. But generally, hot water is a treatment for neutralizing the venom. Well, that's basically it, guys. Sorry if I missed a few species. If any of you guys were hoping to see certain species that I missed. We actually aren't fully stocked with fish yet, so there's a lot of species I wanted to talk about that I couldn't. I'll probably cover those in another video when we have them and when I'm able to do some more filming here. But I hope that this video of mine was at least a little helpful to some of you. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next vid.